There are so many products that people think are healthy at the grocery store, but are actually total money pits and horrible for your health. So today I'm going to share a few of those that I have stopped buying and the really easy, simple homemade swaps that I make instead. If you're new, I'm Erica. My husband Mark and I and our 3 children live fully off-grid in Canada. We try to live a healthy and self-sufficient lifestyle, and that's what we share about in our videos. And if you're wondering how I have the energy to live like this, check out my free Well-Energized Woman workshop below. Buying broth from the store is a complete and utter waste of money because it is so expensive for what you get, and it has sugar and seed oil in it. Now, there are higher quality broths that you can get, but they're extremely expensive. And it is so easy to make at home, especially if you have an Instant Pot. It couldn't get any easier. So what I do is just save any bones from any meals we've had. So roasted chicken or pork ribs, anything, any animal bone, I save it in a bag in the freezer. When I have enough, put it in the Instant Pot, fill that Instant Pot to the max line, add a couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. That just helps to extract the nutrients from the bones into the broth. Put the lid on, make sure that it is set to sealing on the top, and then cook on low pressure. I do a total of 5 hours. The most my Instant Pot will let me set it to is 4 hours, so I do 2.5 hours. That way I can just start it again when the 2.5 hours is done, and that'll be a total of 5 hours. Now that it's done, I'm just straining the bones out, and I love to store bone broth in the freezer. I don't have a lot of glass containers for this, so I have some plastic containers that I have set aside. So what I like to do is strain it into a bowl, put the lid on the bowl, and let it cool completely in the fridge, because I don't like to do hot liquids into plastic, trying to reduce the chemical transfer from the plastic to the broth. So it's completely cool, and then I put it in either containers or Ziploc bags like I'm doing here. You know you have a really good nutrient-dense broth when it is gelatinous like this, when it's cold. So I am pre-portioning these, meaning I'm putting a certain amount into each container or bag. That way, say I'm putting 2 cups into this bag, I know when I'm getting out of the freezer that I have 2 cups to work with, because usually I'm using it for rice or quinoa, and I need a certain amount. Bone broth is filled with collagen and minerals, and it's so good for your joints, your skin, your energy. Compare that to store-bought broth, which is basically just broth flavored water, and it just doesn't compare. Bone broth is cheaper, it's really quick and easy to make, it's full of flavor, and so much better for you in every way. If you think about it, if you're already cooking meat with bones in it, bone broth is basically free. It's just that extra effort to make it. The next thing I stopped buying and started making is applesauce. Most store-bought applesauce is made with the cheapest apples they can get, usually old or bruised or imported ones, and then they load it with added sugar or concentrated apple juice to make it taste better. And a lot of brands also use natural flavors, which sounds fine, but it's basically a lab-made flavoring. And it's used to cover up the low quality fruit. And because it has to sit on a shelf for a year, they cook it at super high temperatures, which destroys most of the nutrients and that lovely fresh apple taste. And unless it's organic, you're also getting a nice side of pesticide residue, because apples are one of the most sprayed fruits. So when you make it at home, it's literally apples. I always add a little bit of cinnamon too, and it actually tastes like real fruit and so much healthier. than the store-bought versions. It's definitely cheaper as well, especially if you consider doing this when apples are in season. I mean, almost everyone knows someone with an apple tree that just cannot use all the apples and is just frantically passing them out, just wants to get rid of them and wants them to be used and eaten. So if you have a friend like that, take the apples they offer you and make a bunch of applesauce. You can can it. I did that last year with the apples I got from my grandma, so I'll link that video here. This year, I didn't have as many, and I knew we'd use them up pretty quickly, so I decided to freeze the applesauce in jars. Now, this does take a little bit of work. It's not a super quick and easy task, but if you do a lot at once, you are making a lot at once. You just have to peel and core and cut up the apples. And then you just simmer them down with a little bit of water, and I use some lemon juice too. I think it makes it taste better. And then once they're all nice and soft, you can mash them with a potato masher if you're okay with the chunkier applesauce. I use the immersion blender to make it nice and smooth. Add some cinnamon, get it in your jars, and if you're freezing these instead of canning, you do need to make sure you leave at least 1 inch of headspace and use a jar that has a straight top, not one that's curved in, and that should prevent breakage. Another thing to do to prevent breakage is to put these in the fridge before you freeze them, just to make sure they're fully cooled before they're frozen. These are probably going to be mostly snacks for my girls, so what I'll do is just pull a jar out of the freezer into the fridge, let it thaw out there, and then they can have it for a snack the next day. I love my peeler, corer, slicer device that I use for this. It can be a little finicky at times, especially with softer apples. So don't worry if you don't have one of those. Just peel your apples, get one of those corer slicer things that you push down, and that makes it really quick and pretty easy. Making things at home is definitely one of the easiest ways to cut out the junk and start to feel better. But if you're exhausted and don't even know where to start, like I was a couple of years ago, my free workshop walks you through the baby steps that I took to boost my health and get my energy back. And it's totally free, so that link is below. This next recipe is my very favorite granola bar recipe. I used to buy granola bars thinking, this is a pretty healthy option. It's like whole grains, oats and nuts. And most granola bars are horrible for you, the store-bought ones. Full of just all sorts of versions of sugar, corn syrup, crappy oats that are covered in glyphosate, all sorts of bad things, and just way too much sugar too. So I've always loved making my own granola bars, but when I found this recipe, I was so happy because the only added sweetener is mashed banana. And of course, if you use chocolate chips, there's sugar in those. But there's no like half a cup of honey or maple syrup or corn syrup or anything like that. It's just the natural sugars in the banana. Plus, if you add chocolate chips. So I have been so happy with these bars for years and years. And it's really, really simple. You mash your bananas, mix in some vanilla to the mashed banana, then add in whatever you want. I always do oats and a combination of nuts and seeds, whatever I've got on hand, some salt and cinnamon and chocolate chips. And I've also added dried cranberries before, which is delicious. And then you bake it for 20-25 minutes at 350. And they are just subtly sweet and they hold together quite well. and I just slice them up and keep them in a big bag in the freezer so you don't have to worry about them going bad. And then this is just as convenient of a snack as packaged granola bars. If you are used to throwing granola bars into your purse to have as a snack on hand for your kids, you can just get a small Tupperware container. I have one that perfectly fits like 3 of these stacked on top of each other. Just grab a couple of them out of the freezer, throw them in a container, and you're good to go. So the last one is ice cream. And now I know most people don't think of ice cream as a healthy food they're getting from the store, but I want to say that I think you can make ice cream pretty darn nutrient rich if you make it at home. So you can feel pretty much no guilt about enjoying a treat that has lots of nutrients and minimal sugar, and that's what we're doing. There are lots of ice cream recipes out there that have a lot of extra steps. I like to keep things really simple. So what I do is a coconut milk base, full fat coconut milk, and I will put my base recipe for vanilla ice cream down below because you can add all sorts of things, make your own flavors from that. Today in this video, I am making a salted caramel ice cream. I made this into salted caramel popsicles in a previous video, but we're literally just taking the same mixture. We blended up coconut milk, dates, salt, and vanilla extract, and just putting that in our ice cream maker. On this day, I also added a scoop of collagen powder because I had it, and why not? You can also add a couple of raw egg yolks for extra nutrition, and that makes it extra creamy too, if you're comfortable with that. And there you have it, just a simple, creamy, delicious ice cream that is so much better than store-bought and so much more nutritious. If you'd like to see more items that I make from scratch instead of buy at the store, watch this video next.